Welcome back to ESA Winter 21, everybody. We are raising money for Alzheimer Fonden. Links to donate can be found below the stream. We would also like to thank Koei Tecmo Europe, who has just released Neo 2, the complete edition, Twitch, and ViewSonic for sponsoring this event. I'm going to kick it off to our commentators here. We have Zyrelia and Fujo, who are going to tell you a little bit about themselves and then introduce the runners. Take it away, gents.
Hi everyone, I am Zyrelia. I'm a runner of Dark Souls 2. We also have Fujo here. You want to say hi?
Hi, I'm Fujo. I'm also a runner of this game.
And we're going to be commentating a race of JeffTheBigLizard.
Hello.
And Nick Style.
Hi.
Alright, are you both ready? I'll count you down.
Yep.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. So, this is Dark Souls 2, Scholar of the First Sin. These two runners are doing an any percent race. The goal is to get to the end of the game, beat the final boss as fast as possible. Both runners start off in the Things Betwixt, and they'll actually be creating their character at the house up ahead.
One important thing to note here, that the timer starts before character creation, unlike other Souls games.
So being fast at character creation is one of the skills in this speedrun. They both choose the Bandit starting class and the Bonfire ascetic. Bandit just has a great kit for starting off, and the Bonfire ascetic is going to be used later in the run to get a large amount of souls needed to complete the run. On the left, we had Nick go and get a soul. He did a trick called the cart soul, and Jeff is just continuing on. He'll pick up a soul later on.
So right away you can see that all runners remove the armor. Removing the armor gives more stamina regen, which is important throughout the run. Optimize stamina and running.
You will see them wear armor at some points in the run, but it will be mostly after each boss fight, and we'll explain why later. But for now, they're both just going to tag our Firekeeper in this world, the Emerald Herald, to get an Estus Flask and touch the first bonfire. You're going to see a lot of just running in between bosses in this run. The game starts off a little bit slow, but once we get into the boss fights, it'll pacing up. Both runners just showing how good they are at menuing here while waiting for this gate to open.
And this gate is actually really slow.
So, Dark Souls 2 actually has a couple versions. It has the vanilla version, which came out on the PS3 and Xbox 360. But we also have the Scholar of the First Sin edition, which includes all the DLC and makes some changes to the games. These runners are running the Scholar of the First Sin edition, which is a bit slower than the vanilla version, but we find that it is a marvelous game to play. And other than certain categories, it's mostly pretty similar. So right here, they're running up past these hollows, and they're just going to enter this fog gate. Unlike the other Dark Souls games, it actually takes time to go through the fog gates, so you can be stopped. Both got through without issue.
This area is actually the worst part of the run, one of the worst, really. Many resets happen in this area because of how unpredictable all the hollow movements are.
Jeff got a really good ladder, only getting hit once, and Nick actually got the same. That is pretty rare. So, both runners here are going to be using their soul that they got, and they're talking to Melentia. This NPC is going to sell them a bomb so that they can do a trick called the bomb wall. Jeff got the bomb wall first try. Nick actually missed it, so he's going to do the backup strat. He's going the intended way around, but it loses about 40 seconds. Jeff coming up to another fog gate protected by some hollows. This fog gate is a little tricky to get past, but he gets through without issue.
And now ends the nightmare that this area is.
So Jeff is approaching the first boss, the last giant, and he has his dark sign equipped. When he gets the finishing blow on the last giant, he's going to use that dark sign to get out of the fight quickly, and it'll remove all of his souls. But if he does it quick enough, he'll still retain the souls from killing the boss. Important for some of the items needed later. Nick narrowly avoiding those hollows as he gets to the elevator. Very good fight for Jeff.
And the guard break.
Accidental guard break.
Yeah, nice move.
The reason why he did the guard break there is because guard break's input is actually up plus attack. So it's pretty easy to do a guard break instead of an attack during a fight.
Jeff gets a good last giant fight, and he's off back to Malentia using the Soul of the Last Giant while talking to the NPC. Doing something very well known in the speedrunning of this game as a soul cancel.
As you might have noticed, Jeff's menuing was kinda odd. The reason is he's actually using keyboard and mouse. So most runners don't go for this, but keyboard and mouse is actually just fine to run this game.
Some would say it's even faster than the normal controller method, but it's really up to preference. Jeff's approaching the next fog gate with our boss, the Pursuer. This is going to be a really quick fight, so pay attention. He uses the ballista that is pointed here to set up the boss in a way that the ballista will kill the Pursuer in 2 hits guaranteed. Makes the fight really quick and very consistent.
And on top of that, this strat is actually fairly easy. You can reproduce that in a casual run, no problem.
Probably many casuals accidentally did this after knowing that they could actually use the ballistas. Both runners are past Pursuer. Jeff's going back to Majula, the hub world in this game, to upgrade or to buy some items from the blacksmith, as well as get prepared to go on to the next set of bosses. He actually got bad RNG there because the Emerald Herald was not sitting, or actually not standing by the bonfire. That's what we want to see, so let's see if Nick gets the good RNG. Nick does not get the good RNG, but still a little bit better. What you're going to see both runners do here in Majula is they're going to buy a rapier and the mace, and they're going to upgrade their rapier. The rapier is going to be the weapon used for the majority of the run. Jeff chooses to use a weapon later on for certain bosses, but it's probably the best weapon in the game in most situations.
Yeah, this weapon is really fast and has a bonus on counter hits. Basically, counter hits are a boost of damage that occur when you attack the boss at specific moments, such as animations and attacks.
And Nick just finished up killing our armor merchant Moglin. He unfortunately dies in just about every run, just because he has a set of robes which are very useful to equip at the end of boss fights. It'll increase the soul gain of the boss fights, which is crucial to get to 1,000,000 souls. And that is the amount that we need to get to the end of the run. More on that in a little bit. Nick is going down the pit with some careful maneuvering and management of his health. and Jeff is already in the gutter. He's about to perform a trick named after himself, the Jeff Jump, very soon. So he's going to pick up this branch, and then he's going to travel across a very thin beam. And with a precise jump, he'll make it. And he got it first try. That is a tough jump. He was only recently discovered.
Yeah, it might be the toughest jump in this run.
Missing it does mean death. So getting that jump right there, crucial. It saves about 10 seconds, or it loses you a lot of time if you fail it. So let's see if Nick can get this as well. Nick gets it as well. Very close. Both runners getting probably the toughest trick in the run. So Jeff, after he got through that fog gate, he popped an item called the Bright Bug, and it's that yellow glowing aura around him. This, when it's active, it gives an extra 20% attack and 20% damage reduction for about 2 minutes. It's going to be useful for a lot of boss fights because of the extra damage output you get. Unfortunately, Jeff got unlucky and got invaded by an NPC invader.
Yeah, his name is the Forlorn. This guy is exclusive to the Scholar version of the S2. This guy can pretty much invade you anywhere. He can interrupt you in various ways, such as blocking you through corridors. He can attack you and kill you. And one of the worst things is that you cannot use any warping items while he's active. The only way to get rid of him is to either enter a boss fight or dying.
Jeff didn't put on the robes for that kill, so he may be a few souls short. Nick killing the Rotten just now, or he's in his first attempt. We'll see how this goes.
I'm gonna be mad soul short. Didn't want to know what the
Jeff
backup
gonna
is
be
for
employing
this.
a backup strat for this. So the fight here with the Rotten, and we're gonna see this guy again, don't worry. The goal is to hit his cleaver arm several times to get the hand to fall off. He's a unique boss that allows you to cut off his arms. Cutting off the cleaver arm makes it a lot safer, as well as makes the fight faster.
So there you clearly saw that Jeff was improvising and you level up because he was short on souls.
May have just glossed over it, but Nick got another tough trick in the run, an ascetic warp, it's called. It's where he uses a bonfire ascetic to basically level up the boss again, puts the boss into New Game Plus, and they'll be able to fight the Rotten again. But he used that during a warp animation, saving him about 12 seconds. So even though Jeff is ahead right now, they're still probably about even.
So we are going through an area called Shaded Woods. In this area we're gonna pick up one of the crucial items to this run. It's called the Red Tearstone Ring, which you can find in the whole Dark Souls 3 trilogy. So in this game, RTSR is not as good as DS1 RTSR, but still pretty effective. So yeah, well,
Both runners choosing to take damage from that barrel to get their health to a certain point so that when they pick up this red tearstone ring, the RTSR, as Fujo mentioned, they'll take a hit from the next boss intentionally, and that will put their health in a range where the red tearstone ring becomes active. It's more or less a damage boost for being low on health. Both runners are going to be using this red tearstone ring for many bosses in the series, so be careful to watch for that. They're basically always going to be one hit from death, so any mistake is costly.
So while picking up RTSR, you're gonna see them dodging the ogre. So this dodge is actually really precise and really scary.
Jeff choosing to get hit there to get the RTSR set up. Oh, and he gets lucky. That dog almost got him.
Calculated.
As he says, calculated. Nick's about to do the same, but he has his health set up at the correct amount, so he's going to try and avoid the hits. And Nick gets out unscathed. Alright, so Jeff is making his way through the fog section of the Shaded Woods. And this section has some invisible enemies that are gonna try and hit you unless they hit these trees that make noise to attract them. And they're making their way up to an NPC to buy a claymore, which will be used a little bit later on, and the weapon buff item of the run, the gold pine resin. This is going to give them extra lightning damage on every fight when they use that item.
Again, hitting that tree, and they're gonna pick up the Clonty ring. Actually, the Clonty ring +1. So this item gives a very good stamina regen boost, and it's gonna be pretty useful to run even more, and it is actually crucial in some fights when regenerating stamina.
Yep, due to Dark Souls having a stamina meter, where if you have no stamina, you can't take any actions, having stamina boosting items, such as the Clonty ring, is big for not only running sections, as it saves time as you're traversing the map, but also during the boss fights when you're waiting for your stamina to come back up to hit them again. So again, Jeff has the red tearstone ring already set up. That's that red glowing aura around him, as well as the purple icon under his health bar. And Nick has his health in a certain way so that he'll take a hit at the start of the next fight, which is the Scorpioness Najka. Jeff starting the boss fight. Najka is an RNG lottery. We want to see attacks that use her tail, which Jeff got on the first one, but he got a jump back. Not good, not good. Let's see if Nick fares any better. Nick getting the best attack. Jeff having a very good fight despite the bad RNG. Nick having a perfect Najka fight. Very well done. And again, you're seeing them put on that robe to increase their soul gain, and then they take it right back off. They don't want to be running around with it, as it's going to slow them down. I think now's a good time for donations, if you have any.
Well, I'd like to remind everybody that we are raising money for Alzheimer Fonden. Donations can be made through the link below the video. We are also keeping an eye on those totals. There is currently a bid war incentive for the upcoming run where you can help name the Magikarp and the trainer. So get your donations in for that. And we would like to see us beat the grand total that we reached for ESA Winter 2018, which was just over $22,000. Currently at $13,310, $690 away from $14K. Let's see how much we can get during this great race. Thanks, guys.
As you just may have saw, both runners took out their mace and used it to kill a crystal lizard. these lizards are fast little buggers that like to run away when you get close, and they're very hard to hit with a stabbing weapon such as the rapier. So they get that mace to kill the crystal lizard easier to get its drops, which are some of the weapon upgrade materials they're going to need to power up that rapier even further.
So there you so both runners taking a safety bonfire. In normal attempts they wouldn't take this bonfire since it loses time, but if they die to the next fight, this is gonna cost a few minutes.
Yep, they would have to run all the way back through the shaded woods just to get over to here, which is the Brightstone Cove Seldora. Next fight is a little bit of a weird one. It's not your traditional boss fight. It is one boss and a lot of minions. Both runners, again, using that RTSR to boost their damage. And they're going to be focusing the two priests that are in the room that can cast magic. And then they will kill the main boss. And then you're going to see the Claymore used to sweep up all the rest of the enemies.
Nice.
Oh, Jeff getting hit. Actually, both runners taking a death here.
Oh,
Tough fight.
Yeah, this fight is an RNG fest. It is very chaotic and very hard to manage.
Now with one death each, they are basically neck and neck. However, Nick does still have some time save from before when he got the Ascetic Warp. So, very close race. I mean, this is kind of what you'd expect from these guys. One, Jeff has the current world record in any percent, and Nick had the previous world record. And they're both always trying to improve their times. So this is literally a race between top runners. Both using their buffs again, but this time without the red Tearstone ring. So their damage will be a bit lower, but they should still be able to get this fight done.
So if you don't have RTSR in this fight, killing all these enemies is gonna be significantly harder.
Jeff pulling out that Claymore, same with Nick, and they're just using this wide arc for the swings to basically mow down all the rest of the enemies. Jeff getting another RTSR setup. Decent fight, all things considered. And Jeff making sure to pick up his souls. Very important that they keep their souls through this run, because the levels will matter.
You saw them picking up a bonfire ascetic. In total, we need 3 of them in the run to form ascetics.
Jeff forgetting he had
I knew I
he
missed
didn't have the
something.
cat ring. So Nick's going for this next crystal lizard. This one's a little bit tough to hit. High chance of hitting the wall. But he gets it, and that gives him the last large Titanite shards that he needs to be able to get his plus 10. But he's still not out of the woods here. He needs to get the next item without the Forlorn invading him. Again, that guy can show up just about anywhere, and if he shows up here, then we won't be able to use a homeward bone to get out. But fortunately, he does not show up. And Jeff's just running back to do the same.
Yeah, backtracking is really slow in this game. You definitely don't want to die.
It's an embarrassing one.
So now that Nick got all the items from Seldora, he can come back to Majula and get that rapier upgraded to a plus 10. They don't normally expect you to have a plus 10 rapier this early in the game, so he's about to start tearing through the next several boss fights. Jeff getting that plunging attack properly. Nick attempting the door skip. Saved several seconds by not having to go through the door animation, but again, you risk death doing some of these tricks.
Yeah.
Very impressive to do in a race. And Jeff actually gets another trick named after one of these runners, the Nick's jetpack. He picked up an item as he was falling off the ledge, and it basically jetpacked him off to the ground in a very convenient fashion to keep moving. Jeff choosing to get an extra item here. Oh, but now he's got to get away. Not good.
That's why I didn't need those souls.
Nick fighting against the Rune Sentinels. This is a noob slaying, or I shouldn't say noob, a casual nightmare. When you don't have enough damage, you have to often fight these three guys all at once. So Nick with his plus 10 rapier as well as the gold pine resin is just easily mowing them down. Fighting them one at a time is so much easier than to fight them all at the same time. Nick has a very good fight. Jeff's upgrading his weapon.
Sentinels can have very weird patterns where they jump around, which loses quite a bunch of time.
Or they do some cyclone spins.
Yeah, this one's actually really rare and can ruin runs pretty easily.
Alright, so Nick, after having killed the Sentinels, is running around through the Bastille to get the final bonfire aesthetic needed to be able to fight the Rotten 4 times. I did mention that we would see that boss again, but we end up fighting him 4 times in the run. Reason is we need to get more souls to get up to 1,000,000. And fighting him on higher new game cycles, which is what the bonfire aesthetic does, lets you get a lot more souls from that boss fight. I mean, these guys are probably at about 200,000 souls before the Rotten fights, and by the end of it, they'll be at 1,000,000.
And yeah, there goes the third bonfire aesthetic.
Jeff making his way over to the Sentinels. Even though he may be behind right now, there are points in this run that can definitely let him catch up. And Nick's heading over to the Rotten. He's going to again set up RTSR, and he's intentionally taking those 2 poison hits so that he's poisoned and his health is constantly ticking down. Poison does a lot of damage in Dark Souls 2, significantly more than what you see in Dark Souls 1 or Dark Souls 3. So he takes that damage, and during the boss cutscene, it actually pauses the damage. This is important so that he ends up not dying from the poison, but ends with just a sliver.
And again, there's something crucial to mention with this fight. In Dark Souls 2, there is a stat called agility, which defines the amount of iframes you get from rolling. And in this case, we actually have lowest agility possible when fighting all these Rottens, which makes the fight really harder.
Yep. If it looks easy, it's because these runners are skilled. They know these boss fight patterns, they know the hitboxes, and they know how to dodge even with the least amount of iframes. If you've ever played this game and early on you think, man, I'm just getting hit by everything while rolling, it's because you have so little iframes on your rolls that you can't roll most attacks unless it's very properly timed. Nick going to fight Rotten 3 now. Again, focusing that cleaver arm. He wants to see that cleaver arm destroyed. Not only makes the fight much safer, but also increases the damage you do to the Rotten's body.
One very annoying element with the Rotten is his tendency to stay idle or AFK a lot of the times. That loses actually a lot of time.
Nick having a very good Rotten 3. And Jeff on his way over to Rotten 2. Yes, remember to use the aesthetic here.
You really want to see Rotten attacking, because if Rotten attacks, that means you can get counter hits, and counter hits deal way more damage.
Nick's going to be using a Bright Bug for Rotten 4, as this one has way more health than the previous ones, and it's a good place to use it in the run. Again, perfect setups with the poisons, just to get into that red tier stone range, so that they do maximum damage. Jeff getting a very rare attack, the Puke out of the Rotten. It's a great one because you can get so many hits on his cleaver arm, and he really can't do anything about it. Jeff, a very good Rotten too. Even though the Rotten has this nub of an arm, it can still hit you, and with the health that these guys have in red tier stone ring range, they will die.
Yeah.
Nick, another very good Rotten 4.
Yeah. Very stupid situations can happen when you think you're not gonna get hit by this small piece of arm, but you can definitely lose your run to that.
Nick in Majula is going to use all these extra boss souls that he's obtained and buy his last set of consumables, as well as do his final level up to get him ready for the rest of the game. He's approaching what I would consider the second half. Jeff again focusing that cleaver arm, and he gets the kill.
So there you saw him upgrading agility, well, ATP, to increase agility. This is because in some late fights, it is actually almost impossible to dodge some of the boss's attacks with such low ATP.
Yep. The main stats that these guys are looking to upgrade are, of course, their damage, which comes from Dex and Strength, but also endurance to get that that green stamina bar as big as it can be. As you can see, Nick's stamina is almost as large as his health pool now.
Yeah. More green, more attacks.
Nick is making his way over to the Shrine of Winter, and this is the door up ahead that will not open if you have less than 1 million souls obtained in your playthrough. This is the reason why we kill the Rotten 4 times, to open this door. Alternatively, you can kill the 4 bosses that are similar to the Rotten. They are called the Great Ones, and it will then open automatically.
There is actually a category where you have to fight all the old souls, and it's called any personal souls. It's actually quite interesting category, but it's much longer.
The runner Nick actually has the world record in the Old Souls category, but Fujo is also no stranger to it either. Nick, having passed the Shrine of Winter, is on his way to Drangleic Castle. This is kind of like the pinnacle area of the game where you're like, finally, I made it to the castle that I've been hearing about this whole time. And Jeff finishes up Rotten 4. Very good.
Very clean fights.
So Nick is approaching these gates, and you're going to see some unique mechanics about the Dragonlight Castle, you'll find that there are these giant statues that, unless you kill an enemy that has a soul near it, the statue will not open whatever it's guarding. In this case, it is the gate. So we had to kill enemies near both of these statues to get this this door to open, and they're gonna slowly open this gate. Again, Nick getting that RTSR set up on these enemies.
Do we have time for a couple donations?
We do.
All right, thank you. We have $5 from Mira. Thank you very much, Mira. $10 coming in from Racodactylus, saying good luck to the runners, putting his 10 towards Fallout New Vegas glitchless blindfolded intro. And finally, a whopping $40 from Thoringar, saying time to light the bonfire for Alzheimer's research. Good luck on the run, guys.
Time to light the bonfire, indeed. So Nick, now being in one of the lower areas of the castle, has to deal again with more of these golems that are guarding these doors. Quickly kills a guard. Now he's going to come back to open this door, which will have a bonfire that will be used later on when we're approaching the end of the game. Jeff, having that 1,000,000 souls to open the Shrine of Winter. I'm sure he was cutting it close though with that earlier mishap by not equipping the robes.
So Nick just picked an item called the Old Radiant Life Gem. This item is quite useful in the final fight against the duo, because this item heals a lot, but very slowly, so that way you can actually tank a lot of damage while fighting the boss. Because yes, tanking damage is faster than dodging in this game, in some cases.
Yep, want to know when to trade and when to dodge. Life gems being a unique thing in Dark Souls 2. It's an alternative healing method away from the standard Estus flasks, but it's slower and over time. Fortunately enough, you can buy many of them or find them in the world. Nick coming into the Dragon Riders fight. These are two Dragon Riders, one on the top, which he knocks down with his bow, and the other just a melee one. Just due to the obscene amounts of damage that they have, this fight goes very quick, and that was a great fight by Nick.
Yeah, this fight is very scary. The Dragon Rider has actually a very wide hitbox with his weapon.
And the runners choose to use a bow because when they get to hit that Dragon Rider on the left with their bow, it'll have him walk down off his ledge early. That is important to make this fight quick, and fortunately enough, he has paper-thin armor. Nick heading further on in the castle, he is in the infamous mannequin room. These mannequins are tough, they're fast, and if they hit you just a couple of times, they will just chunk your HP bar.
Yeah,
Oh,
this
Nick
game,
missing with the bow, but then he gets the second shot.
This game is very slow paced, as you can see. So having enemies this fast with a character this slow is very hard to manage.
Alright, Nick is actually just doing his loop around, and he's going to go back to this bonfire. Again, setting up RTSR with that jump, so he can use it on the next boss, the Looking Glass Knight. But before that, he will have to take a quick ride on an elevator. This game sure does love its elevators, and this isn't going to be the last one you're going to see. Jeff doing a very good job getting through. Using those iframes from opening the door to dodge that hit. Very smart. Jeff choosing to use the charcoal pine resin here as it's a backup strat and doesn't have that much of a difference in terms of damage output on this boss. We generally want to use lightning for bosses, as that's almost always the most effective, but charcoal on the Dragon Riders is just fine. Again, he shoots down that guy on the left to make him walk off early so that we can hit him. Jeff narrowly avoiding that hit. And a very good fight by Jeff. Again, these hitboxes are wider than they seem. Often the most the most complained about aspect of this game by a casual player and speedrunners alike is the hitboxes on some of these attacks.
So Nick is currently heading towards the Mirror Knight fights. So Mirror Knight is a bit of a special boss in this run because his fight is 100% consistent, unlike almost all of the bosses who are random.
We have a strategy called the Consistent Knight, and it involves letting him jump over you at the start and buffing your weapon on a specific spot. After that, we're going to bait one attack and then do a few attacks into him. Then he's going to do this lightning swing loop until he dies. With just some easy side steps to the left, you can dodge this swing and get that quick kill. Fun fact about the Looking Glass Knight: if you take too long in the fight, such as if you had a worse weapon or if you weren't a speedrunner, he has a chance to summon other players to invade you while you're in the boss room. Both of these players are playing offline though, so they would never get an actual human invading them, but it would still summon an NPC invader, and that could prove troublesome.
So next area is the Shrine of the Mana. The Shrine of the Mana is one of the most troublesome area in the game. You will probably see why in a few moments.
There's I'd say there's 3 reasons why. 1, a lot of enemies. 2, water, which is going to slow you down. And 3, a lot of enemies have ranged attacks and move very fast.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a lot of running through here, a lot of dodging, and hopefully we can get through without a single death. It's common for runs to die in the Shrine of the Mana.
Yeah.
This is one of those reasons that you need to make sure that your agility is higher, just to get some extra invincibility frames on your rolls. Nick getting through the first part, very good. But this is the hard part.
Yeah, the first part looked hard, but it's actually the easiest part in the Mana run through.
If this game were to be considered a bullet hell, this would be the area. Because we're just going to see a lot of soul arrows coming at us. Jeff approaching the Mirror Knight fight, also looking to show us this consistent knight strategy, as Nick narrowly avoids these soul arrows. Unfortunately takes a few hits, but we have those radiant life gems, those old radiant life gems to heal up. Nick actually puts on some armor to give him a little bit of poise. This should help him get through the next fog gate, which again is littered with enemies around it.
Yeah, he goes for the toughest strat for this fog gates. They're actually
very, very, very clean. That is hard to do. And just taking a safety bonfire just in case. Very well done by Nick. And Jeff, now having defeated the Mirror Knight, is about to approach Amana himself.
So Nick is gonna set up RTSR once again, this time with the soul arrows, taking one hit. Now he has to dodge them. And as if it wasn't enough, you also get an invasion, consistent invasion in this area.
Nick at the next boss, Demon of Song. This boss is a little interesting as he has this shell that protects him from damage. I guess it's a nice time to get a breather or regen some stamina though. Due to that obscene damage with the RTSR, the plus 10 rapier and the gold pine resin, Nick was able to dispatch him in 1.5 cycles. Again, very good. Jeff, approaching the second part of Amana.
Yeah. The Demon of Song fight can be really frustrating because this boss can jump around and do various attacks that waste a lot of time. Basically, you can only hit this boss when he opens his head, and he has a couple of moves where he doesn't open his head at all.
Jeff getting an unlucky invasion by the Forlorn. Oof. This is twice already this run.
Yeah.
Some runs you see Forlorn in a lot of places, some runs you never see him at all. So Jeff getting a bit unlucky here, but he should still be able to get through this. He's got that old Radiant Life Gen to tick up his HP slowly. Oh, very good, very good.
Nice.
Gets through that fog gate with almost no issue, and he's got the RTSR set up. I mean, what more could you ask for? So, if you've been paying close attention, these runners are basically always running and using objects when they have their weapon sheathed on their left side. This is just called two-handing. And you can two-hand either your right hand weapon or your left hand. The reason that they do this is so that they interact with objects such as doors, bonfires, fog walls, etc. quicker. It saves only a couple frames, but all those frames add up in a speedrun. So they're basically optimizing their movement and their interactions with items as much as possible. Nick coming to another trick. He's shooting a wall up near these shield guys, and it gets the shield guy to move backwards and look up in the corner where he shoots that arrow. Getting that attempt first try is very good. Saves a lot of time other than having to fight them.
Next up is the Velstadt fights. This fight is actually one of the coolest in the run.
Jeff having a very weird frog fight. But he gets through it.
Oh, I did not.
Oh.
This game.
It is very easy to bonk on her body.
Velstadt, known for having some of the jankiest hitboxes in the game. He's got very large arc swings, and he's a tough boss. We use a Bright Bug for this fight just to speed it up, as a lot of damage is needed. Getting good RNG with this attack.
Yeah,
And now Nick's gonna kill him before buffs.
Nick actually got the kick. It's a very rare attack in this setting.
You know, I don't think I've ever seen the kick in one of my own runs, but he gets in a marathon. You know what they say,
Yeah.
marathon first, right?
You'll only ever do it if you're blocking. So it usually happens if you block your buff too late.
So Nick gets through, and Jeff also going into the crypt. So Nick is going to head down the third and final path of the Shaded Woods, which is towards the next progression area of the game, Eldia's Keep. This is again where we got the RTSR earlier, but now we're going to continue on and go in through these gates that will not open until you obtain an item after defeating Velstadt. He's going to set up his RTSR here on this Cyan Knight, and the gate's going to open because he has the King's Ring equipped. Cyan Knight being a bro and getting him out of that animation quicker, and we're off to Eldia's Keep. Great movement through those rocks by Jeff. Jeff also using the bow strat to distract the shield bro so he can walk right on by.
If you actually fail, you can actually fail this strat. You can shoot the wall, but not the right part of the wall. And if that happens, you don't get a second shot at it. So you can lose a lot of time to this. And you also have an invader behind you. So this can be a very tricky situation.
Jeff approaching Velstadt, using that bright bug at the start of the fight. And Nick, he used that bright bug so long ago, and you would think, man, I don't see any boss yet. But he's basically got this time down to maybe the second, where he's gonna get to this next boss, the Guardian Dragon, and have him dead right about at the same time that the bright bug buff expires. Jeff having a great Velstadt fight. Guardian Dragon is another boss that's fairly scripted, as long as you do your movement and attacks the same way every time.
By the way, Jeff, did you pick up the Elizabeth mushroom?
Nah. Did you?
Nick getting a very good Guardian Dragon. Perfect even. It prevents having a perfect strat for that and going for that quick kill. Possible only because of the red tearstone ring, the bright bug, and the gold pine resin. It lets you kill the Guardian Dragon before he wastes a lot of time by flying in the air.
But yeah, in some cases he can fly away anyway. But we
Just
also
taking
have
an
a backup
intentional
strat for
RTSR.
that.
Now would be a good time for donations if you have any.
Sure. We have a anonymous $5 donation saying, I got a plat on all FromSoft games, and I think Dark Souls 2 was the one that killed me the most. That is a relatable tale, I can tell you. I would like to also remind everybody that ViewSonic themselves are giving away prizes during this marathon. For meeting the minimum donation threshold, you could possibly win some monitors. Check the website, prizes.esamarathon.com, to take a look.
So, Nick is in the Dragon's Eyrie, which is the shortest area of the game, as they made a very convenient zip line in the Scholar of the First Sin edition to get up through that very quickly. In the base game, there is no zip line, so they have to do some pretty precise jumps. Again, one of the changes that happens in the Scholar of the First Sin edition that makes it a different game from the original. And Nick's just running through the Dragon Shrine now, home of many enemies, and he's got to get through all these enemies. Something interesting to note about them is the smaller dragon-looking enemies on the sides. They treat you with respect, as long as you basically treat them with respect. As long as you don't run from fights, which unfortunately Nick is doing, they won't fight you. Also, they won't fight you as long as you don't have any co-op companions. But if you run away from fights, they will hunt you down. And Nick actually getting past those last 2 enemies very easily.
Yeah, this corridor is very scary. It's pretty easy to die on this, since there are 2 enemies blocking the way.
Jeff doing the Guardian Dragon strat, this time with the Keyblade. Again, this is one of those runner preference type things, and is one of the few fights that has a consistent strat with a different weapon than the rapier. I believe the Keyblade is slightly faster when done optimally, but they're both very fast, quick kills. Nick doing a setup now to skip a long routing around by doing this careful jump over to this tree. That jump is harder than it looks, and he did it flawlessly.
It skips about 20 seconds.
Yep. Saves you from going all the way around and opening another one of those slow opening gates. He's now approaching the Giant Lord.
Yeah, all of these enemy mess you can see before can pretty easily kill you. Basically, the giants have really large hitboxes, and a lot of runs can die to this segment, which is one of the last. So.
They have large bodies too. I mean, you can't even see the guy's upper half.
Yeah, Nick getting very clean fights.
Yep. Nick going back to Castle Drangleic now to approach the throne room for the final boss rush.
My nemesis.
In practice races, it's been one of the deciding factors. Jeff going through the Dragon Shrine. Again, all these enemies, there's a ton of them, and they're all going to be chasing him towards the end.
So again on Giant Lord, I actually had a hard time learning this boss at first, because it is very hard to read him, since his body is so huge compared to any other boss.
Jeff using those iframes from his roll expertly to avoid death there. But he's got to heal. And Nick approaching the throne room. He is coming down to the end. Through that fog gate up ahead is going to be a duo boss, and then the final boss. And this is where we're going to use all the remaining buffs that we have. The Bright Bug, the Gold Pine Resin, we've got an Old Radiant Life Gem to boost HP during the duo fight. Getting unlucky with that first attack. But a good quick kill on... Actually, is he dead? He's not dead. Just doing a safety heal right there.
The memes, dude.
Man, this is a tough fight. This is literally showing you why. Alright, Throne Defender is down. He will not enter the fight again unless he gets revived by the Throne Watcher. But Nick won't let that happen.
Yeah. Throne Defender actually blocking. This is pretty bad.
Alright, the duo is down. We're approaching the final boss. She will spawn in just a moment. And again, applying those remaining buffs. We're going to see him use some life gems during the fight to hopefully bait certain attacks, which we call the beam. There's one beam. There's the second beam. Nick should get the kill here. Time will be coming up when the screen fades to black. Time. I'm sorry. Time. Very great fight by Nick. Excellent job.
Yeah,
And
man. I was
Go ahead.
concerned about the Throne Defender. I mean, I was sure that I killed Throne Defender, but I think that since he started the grabbing move, I think the game put his in a hyper armor state, and that's why he didn't die.
Interesting.
Yeah, man.
Jeff also coming to the throne room. He takes some intentional damage there just to get his HP down below the maximum so his life gem can be ticking up all throughout the fight. If it ever ticks and gets him back to full health, the life gem effectively ends. So again, just some intentional damage to make the fight easier in the end. And having that one last bright bug for this fight. Crucial for both the defense and offense.
And Jeff is gonna use a secret strat using this
Yes,
Crimson
secret.
Water here. The Crimson Water has a very slow health regen compared to all Radiant Life Gem that's already very slow.
Basically gets a perfect kill on the Throne Defender.
Yeah, he didn't block, which is really cool.
If he blocks, that fight can be very much a nightmare. Same with what we see here with the Throne Watcher. But she's a little dumb. She just buffs her weapon right in front of you. And Jeff bringing out the Keyblade for the final time.
Yeah, hopefully I don't mess this up.
I forgot to use the human effigy during the cutscene. F.
Again, using that life gem to bait the beam attack. And going right under the hitbox. That was a great Nishandra fight.
Thank you.
Again, time will be coming up for Jeff when he his screen fades to black. Time.
Yeah. This was a really good fight, Jeff.
Yeah.
Almost,
Great-
almost hit by the siphon. Man.
Dude, that pull on in Black Gulch threw me off so hard.
Great race by both runners. Again, these are the top two any percent category runners right now. And to see a race that ends within just a couple minutes of each other is great to see.
So Nick,
props
I
for both
think
of
we did
them.
agree that the winner of this would be objectively the best Dark Souls 2 runner of all time, didn't we?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, we did.
Okay.
Until the next time, man. Until the next race.
Mm. Man, my throat is dry.
Any shoutouts that you guys want to do?
Shout out to my flatmates. They're all in the other room watching me right now. Shout out to the general Speed Souls community. They're really welcoming. If you watch this and for some reason decided you want to try it, then there's a Discord server you can find and people help you get set up.
Yeah, I want to send a shout out to all of my Brazilian viewers, as well as the non-Brazilian viewers, of course. Eu quero mandar um salve para todos os meus amigos, principalmente aqueles que vieram assistir. E convido todos vocês que tiverem interesse em fazer speedrun de Dark Souls 2 em acessarem o Speed Souls, a grande comunidade de Speed Souls, seja Dark Souls 1, Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls 3, todos convidados. I basically said the same thing as Jeff, but in Portuguese, just to a wider audience.
All right, I think that's a wrap.